Hello, welcome to Taking Flight, RCC's local talk show that brings campus news to the community. I'm your host, Gerri Hunt, Director of Public Information and Grants here at RCC. Joining me today is Kim Pryor, Director of Development for RCC and also the Executive Director of the RCC Foundation. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you, Gerri. Appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. So you used to have my position for about 20 years.
Yep.
And came out of retirement to head up the foundation.
Yeah, I actually came back in September of 2019 and to what was going to be an interim position, and I just enjoyed being here so much that Dr. Kinlaw and I discussed it, and I came on board full-time January 2020. So I've just had my 1-year anniversary.
Sweet. Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
And I just had my 2-year anniversary. Well, you're the perfect person to be in that position, having the background with RCC that you did already, and just knowing the community. And I mean, you're from here,
right?
So yeah, you have a lot of connections, and you know a lot of the people that are involved in the foundation now.
Yeah, I worked in the 20 years that I worked here. I worked very closely with the foundation office, so I understood their processes and I participated in their fundraisers, and because I was in your position, I had to be in the know of all those things.
Right.
So it did make it easy. And anytime you can come into a new position, one thing that's very hard is to learn the organization, and I already need the organization well. So it did make it easy.
Right. So the foundation's been around a long time, just I guess a few years after the college was founded.
Yeah, the foundation was formed in 1970. There were a group of trustees and community leaders who decided that there were needs the students would have and that the college would have that state funding would not pay for. And so they wanted to form this organization for scholarships and special projects of the college. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization who, like I just said, we are designed to meet the needs of students. Anything to help the students get the education they need.
Right. So y'all handle a lot of scholarships, like the money that y'all raise goes into scholarships, but also campus grants.
It does. The money that we raise goes into a variety of programs. We have endowed scholarships. We have 163 of them.
Wow.
And we have a lot of donors who give annually to their scholarship. And just to explain what that endowed scholarship is, it requires an investment of no less than $18,000. That money goes into a trust. Each year, 75% of the interest earned from that scholarship is awarded to a student. The other 25 goes back into the trust. So it's in perpetuity. Once established, it will never go away. There will be something every year for a student who qualifies based on the establishment of that scholarship. And so we raise money. Those are donations that we take in. And then, except for COVID, of course, we've not had any fundraising events, but we do often have them. And those monies, we focus on the grant program. The campus community has just applied for grants for next year for a variety of programs that assist students. And so the money that we raise through our fundraising, and if they're unrestricted gifts that come in during a campaign, unrestricted means they don't have to go to a scholarship.
Right.
We use those for these campus grant programs. And I totaled it up today. The request from campus was $202,000. So the college is very dependent on the foundation.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I was on the committee that kind of reviewed those last year, and it was just incredible, the types of requests that we received to review, and all we did, we kind of put them in an order of importance.
Right.
And, we had no idea how much money was going to be available. We just knew what the amount that they were requesting. So, but yeah, that it's incredible, the amount of programs around on the campus that, other than just, we're not just teaching, there's all this support and everything that, that we offer, mostly through the foundation.
Well, and we try to keep our operations, the money that we actually run our office on is not part of those donations. The college has a master trust, which was established in the 80s through a gift from an estate, and the interest from that master trust is what we use for our operations for the office.
Right. Okay.
Salaries, printing, postage, those kinds of things.
Right.
So really, the money that we do bring in goes directly to help students.
Right. And so this is money that that is funding things that, say, like that the taxes don't pay for.
That's right. One thing that we have, and we have had this program for many years, it's called the Peer Tutor Program. And that's where the foundation awards money to that program to pay students to tutor their peers. A faculty member and a student work together to identify that there is a need in tutoring, whether it's in English or math or chemistry or whatever. And then selected students work with their peers to improve their academic standing, and they get paid for that. So that gives the student who needs the help a need is met, and then the student who is doing the work is rewarded financially. And most of our students need all the help they can get financially.
Right.
So that's one example of them. And then we support the college athletics program. We have a nationally ranked baseball team. You know this.
Right.
And so, when you have a team that's performing at that level, it costs a lot of money to have to travel for uniforms and that type of thing. And when you have 60 student athletes on your campus, that adds so much to the collegiate environment.
Right. And we sure do attract those athletes. I mean, we get them from all over the place. So, we're pretty well known especially with our baseball team.
Yeah, a lot of local young men are on our baseball team.
Right.
Since we've gotten so good at the sport.
Well, that's a couple of the things that the campus grants that we fund through the for the campus grants, but there's also like a lot of certifications that y'all have been able to fund.
Yes, like just for as an example, last spring, of course, during this pandemic, many of our students have lost jobs. And in health sciences particularly, once they graduate, they have to take a certification licensure exam. Our nursing students, our respiratory therapy students, all of those have to take an exam, and they are quite expensive. And so most of the students, again, lost their jobs, and so we used some foundation money to award each of those graduates $200 towards their licensure exams. And I'm hoping that we're going to continue to be able to do something like that this year. And the beauty of that is if we can do that and let these students know early on in the semester, then that's going to take some of the pressure off them, because often in health sciences, the last semester is the most expensive.
Right. Plus, since you're offering to help pay for the licensing, that enables them to take the exam much faster after they finish, so they're not having to wait and try and raise money, to fund it themselves.
Well, and that means that there's more likely they're going to be successful the first time. And of course, our students' success in licensure exam is directly related to funding for the college. So that's another link. We're not only helping the students, but we're helping the college receive the most funding that they can receive from the state by getting those students in testing soon.
Right. So we were able to start an Eagle Train and Gain program last year, the scholarships. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. The college is focusing on creating some 96-hour programs, and 96 hours is short-term training. It can be done in one semester. At the end of the training, the student receives a certification that makes them ready for an entry-level position in the workforce. So it could be something like certified nursing assistant. It might be a welding certificate. It could be emergency medical training. We had several programs. And so the foundation is providing the funding for students to take those classes. And the student has a little bit in the game, but most of the funding, most of the fees and tuition are paid by the foundation.
Right.
And we had about 105 students take advantage of that in the fall.
That's pretty impressive. It's, considering it was the first time it was offered.
And 78% completed the course and received their certification. So that's a pretty good success rate, and you just never know how something's going to work out till you try.
Right.
But we know that there are many, many people, especially since the pandemic, that will be seeking short-term training so that they're ready to go to work.
Right.
Not everybody wants to come to school for 2 years
Right.
or 4 years or whatever.
Right. So so they can get new training, or they can just add to their credentials that they already have for their current job.
And we did have students who took courses in the fall who've signed up for another course in the spring because they can stack those credentials and it makes them even more qualified in their field. And that is a new program that we started this fall, and we'll continue it for next year. And the academic side of the house are looking at developing more programs that will fit in that same program.
Right.
So.
Awesome. So these are a lot of worthwhile programs that the foundation is supporting, and obviously it's there's a lot of donations that come in from the community. I mean, we've had strong support from the community from day one with this college.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, every year the types of things that you're doing to raise money.
Well, but first let me tell you about the financial situation that the foundation is in. We have assets of $20 million.
Wow.
That's pretty amazing for a small community.
Right.
So you can be sure that since 1970, people from all walks of life in this county have supported the college. And so we are so grateful for that. The good news about that is that half of those assets are liquid. So the foundation is in a very, very strong financial position. That gives donors confidence that the money is used the way it's supposed to be used and that we don't have any financial issues. And we do raise money in a lot of ways. Every fall, we have a campus fund drive where we ask the faculty and staff to contribute to the foundation. And this year, the goal was $22,000, and we exceeded that goal. 86% of the people who work here made a contribution. And so that we think that's just really important when the college and the foundation can say that the faculty and staff support.
Right.
And we raised that money, half to go to a student emergency fund, and half to go to Eagle Training Gain scholarships and campus programs. So all of it, again, is going back to students. We learned in a survey early on in COVID that about 40% of our students experience issues with having enough food. And so just to explain that, we have a food pantry that students can access, but students have other needs as well. And we wanted to have some money available if a faculty member saw that a student had a pressing need, and that faculty member could talk with the student and come to the foundation for some help. And it might be in the form of a gas card.
Right.
If they're trying to get to campus and, the student maybe can't get there this week for class, it would be something that could really help them.
Yeah.
And then the campus programs, since the faculty and staff are the ones that request that money, we thought it would be a good idea to make sure that one half of what they contributed would go to those programs. So we had an excellent campus fund drive in the fall.
Great.
Now, we normally have some fundraising events, golf tournament, donor recognition gala, that sort of thing. And since the pandemic, we've not been able to do that. But we do plan to have our golf tournament in September this year.
Okay.
We are very hopeful that we will be able to schedule that. That is typically in May.
Right.
And that's just a good all-around event where all of the people come together. We have a dinner. We have some door prizes, and it's just, it's a lot of fun for everybody involved. And it's a good way to raise money that we can put into our grant program.
Right.
And then the donor recognition gala in particular has typically been in the fall, and we want to have something this coming year to recognize our donors.
Right.
We hope to have something on this campus and show off what we have to offer here.
Right.
And just have our donors get out and have a little fun together. I think everybody will be ready to do that.
Yes, I'm sure.
So that's another way that we raise money.
Right.
And then this time of year is a big time of year for community donations. We have something called an annual giving campaign, which is where we ask people in the community for gifts. And we have a resource development division of the foundation who is chaired by Arnold Robertson from Reidsville. And his team have looked through lists of our donors and made lists of prospective donors, and they're going to be contacting people in the community for donations to the college. And we will be also reaching out to people, businesses and people who've sponsored our fundraising events in the past and asking for donation. Of course, all that's going to look really different this year. It's going to be direct mail and telephone, and with a lot of handwritten notes.
Right, because normally you have a team of volunteers that go out and hand deliver.
We do. We have a team of volunteers, and we have some events for those volunteers. And, you know, that's just not going to be possible this year, but we do have a goal of $25,000. Arnold is very energetic, and I feel sure we'll meet that goal. Now, some of the gifts that come in from the annual giving campaign are designated for scholarships. In the past, it's been about half and half.
Right.
So, you know, but that's very important.
Right.
But those are the major fundraising.
Yeah, right. With the scholarships, you know, you had talked about the Endowed Scholarship. Is there another thing with when people donate that can go like a different type of scholarship?
Yeah, we have a general scholarship. And so what that is funded until there are no more funds to award. You can start that with as little as $500. And then, you know, we will award that to a student based on the same criteria. And as long as there is money available to award, we'll keep awarding it. So it's just for this, in this case, a person may not wish to make as large of an investment.
Okay.
So that's how that works.
Okay. And with the scholarships, you know, students are applying. Are the donors involved in that at all, or is that like selected by our staff and your folks?
It is. Each scholarship has a paragraph that describes the requirements of a student. It might be a GPA. It may be a particular program of study. It's just whatever the donor requests. And so we have a scholarship committee on campus, and they review the scholarship applications and compare those to the criteria of scholarships, and they make a recommendation to the financial aid office that students are matched. And the financial aid office reviews it, and then I look at each one to make sure that I agree that it is the right match. And the match meaning that it's we may have a lot of students available for a particular degree program scholarship, but maybe we have a scholarship that they want particularly to go to a Moorhead High School graduate. You know, so it could even get that complicated. So we work on that as a team here to award. We have a couple of scholarships that the donors would want to read an essay written by those that apply. So we just work with the donor to develop the criteria that they feel most comfortable with. But the financial aid office and the college are ultimately responsible for making the decision.
Okay. All right. So when you came on board as the executive director, things were kind of a little bit disorganized with the foundation, and so you kind of headed all that up and got everything situated. And it sounds like there's a little bit of a different like setup with them.
A little bit. We have a new board, and some of the board members served on the foundation years past, and some are brand new to the board. We have an executive board, which is made up of our president, Bobby Wharton from Ruffin. Scott Barham from Eden is our immediate past president. Ples McMichael from Reedsville is first vice president. Mary Martin from Madison is our secretary. Amy Brown from Eden is our vice president for she's our treasurer, excuse me. Keith Duncan from Eden is our vice president for investments. I mentioned Arnold Robertson. He's our VP for resource development. And Rhonda Holland from Eden is our vice president of appropriations. So that's our executive board. And then we have general board members. We have Kevin Berger of Madison, Pam Cundiff of Eden, Alan Isley of Reedsville, Dr. Lafayette Judkins of Reedsville, Dr. Tiffany Morris of Eden, Tony Nichols of Reedsville, Richard Powell of Eden, Mickey Silvers from Madison, and Judge Christine Strader of Madison. And of course, Dr. Kinlaw, the college president, and Janice Tate, who's our trustee board chair. They serve as ex officio voting members of the board, and I serve as a non-voting ex officio member. So I mentioned in all of that, one thing I think that we're really proud of with this board is we have a lot of diversity, and that is very important, particularly this day and time. We need to be open to hearing all needs and causes, and we have representation from across the county.
Absolutely, yeah.
I am lacking a little bit in the Stoneville area, and we hope that we can rectify that in the near future. There is an application process to be on this board, which is pretty common with boards these days. Applications are accepted when terms expire and people choose not to continue to serve, and then the trustees review the applications and make the appointments. So our board of trustees is the sole member of the foundation, and just keeping that in simple terms, the trustees are responsible for all the activities of the college, including the foundation. Now, the three divisions can be very active from time to time. Our investment division meets quite often to hear from our wealth management firms that manage our endowment and our master trust. And, especially, every year it's important, but particularly coming off an election, the pandemic, what else can happen, right? So we actually will be meeting in March to hear from them about how things are being handled. We do have both of those with First Citizens Wealth Management, and they are very conservative in the way they handle the money. And Keith Duncan chairs that committee. So that we do meet right often. Appropriations with Ms. Rhonda Holland will be meeting soon because that is involved with the grants. We go through that grant process. The president develops his recommendation, and then our appropriation committee reviews it. And that's where we discuss the money, decide how much money we have that we're able to allocate for the grants. And then the appropriation committee makes that recommendation to the executive board, and then it goes forward to the board. So resource development, that committee is the fundraising arm. And so I've worked with Arnold and his team to plan out how we handle our campus fund drive. And those folks are going to be reaching out to people in the community through the month of March for that. So that's how the foundation is organized.
Wow, so the campaign in the community is only a month long.
Yes.
That's not a very long period of time.
No, but we do mail outs pretty consistently through the year. For example, in December, we'll send something about year-end giving. There's our Talent Club campaign that goes on in September. That's a giving level, a specific giving level. The gifts have a specific purpose. And so we do that work in September. And we've had a pretty large increase in the number of Talent Club members that we've had in the past. So we have 35 Talent Club members now, and I'm hoping that group will be able to help me expand the membership. That group gives each annually $1,500, and 500 of the 1,500 goes to the athletic program, and the remaining 1,000 goes to Eagle Training Gain Scholars and campus projects. So once again, it's all going back to our students.
Right, yes, yeah.
And some may wonder, why do we support the athletic program? Why does the college not pay for that? But state funds can't be used to support the athletic program. So it has to come from somewhere. It can come from student fees, from vending fees, and foundation support. And they also had a very successful fundraiser for themselves this year. I believe they raised about $5,000.
Wow.
So that's another arm of the fundraising.
Right. Okay. Well, if people are interested in giving to the foundation, how do they get in touch?
Just call me. It's 336-342-4261, and I will discuss any opportunities we might have to work together. Madonna Pendleton is my assistant, and she does an excellent job and is always here to help too.
All right. Well, I thank you for giving us an update, and hope the community campaign does very well for us this year.
I hope so too. We're just excited to help students.
Thank you so much.